You've probably wondered why the battle within you feels so intense, why the temptation you face doesn't match the life you're trying to live. You've looked around at others who seem unaffected while you're fighting this invisible war. That's not your imagination. That's not a weakness. That's confirmation. The reason it feels like something is trying to pull you out of alignment constantly, especially through lust, is because something is. The moment you were marked as chosen, the battlefield changed. What used to be just a thought or a craving is now a targeted attack. You're not just wrestling with your flesh, you're wrestling with forces that recognize your light and want to put it out. This is the side of spiritual awakening they don't talk about. The hidden cost, the unspoken battle, the pressure that comes not just from within, but from the unseen. And the most dangerous part, it's subtle. It sneaks in through thoughts that seem harmless, feelings that seem natural, situations that feel like coincidence. But they're not. They're calculated, crafted, designed to pull your energy away from your purpose and sink it into something temporary, empty, and spiritually expensive. Lust isn't just a personal issue, it's a spiritual distraction. It's a detour dressed up as desire, and for chosen ones it often disguises itself as something deeper. It tries to mimic love, intimacy, connection, but it's not looking to nourish your soul. It's trying to derail your mission. If you felt caught in a cycle, tempted, giving in, drained, ashamed, trying to rebuild, then tempted again, you're not crazy. You're under attack, but not because you're weak. You're under attack because you're valuable. The enemy never aims his weapons at someone with nothing to lose. He saves his best traps for those carrying spiritual power. The more purpose you carry, the more effort goes into distracting you from it. And lust is one of the most effective weapons. It doesn't just steal your focus, it siphons your spiritual strength. It numbs your discernment, it lowers your frequency, and worst of all, it makes you question your worth. That's the real danger. When the chosen start to believe the lie that they're broken, unworthy, or permanently tainted, they start to give up on the very calling they were created for. But here's what you need to remember. This battle is not here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you. You're not fighting because you're far from your destiny. You're fighting because you're getting close. The resistance increases as you approach your breakthrough. The temptations intensify when you're about to be elevated. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Every time you resist, you grow. Every time you fall and get back up, you reclaim more of your authority. The real war is not just about the act itself. It's about who you become through the battle. The enemy wants to keep you stuck in guilt, so you don't see how much power you actually have. But the moment you wake up to the truth, the moment you see this for what it really is, you begin to break free. You realize lust doesn't define you. You define it. You have the power to override it, redirect it, and rise above it. You just have to see clearly. You have to stop believing the shame and start walking in awareness. This is the hidden war of the chosen, but it's also the path to becoming untouchable. You carry energy that's different. You don't walk into a room unnoticed. You shift atmospheres just by being present. And whether people understand it or not, they feel it. That's the thing about being chosen. Your energy doesn't blend in, it stands out. And with that comes attraction, but not just the good kind. Your energy doesn't just attract light, it draws in darkness too. That's the price of spiritual power. And lust is one of the first things that comes hunting. You'll notice it when people show up in your life suddenly, drawn to you like a magnet. It seems flattering at first, even exciting. But over time, you begin to notice the pattern. The wrong ones show up when you're leveling up. Distractions arrive when you're finally getting focused. Temptation intensifies the moment you commit to God or a deeper purpose. That's not coincidence, that's spiritual resistance. Your spiritual energy is like fire, powerful, creative, transformative. But fire without direction will burn everything it touches. That's why lust attacks chosen ones differently. It's not just a temptation, it's an attempt to hijack your fire, to reroute that divine force into something that looks good but leads nowhere. When your energy is not properly harnessed, it turns inward. It burns you instead of fueling your calling. That's why chosen ones often struggle with urges that feel stronger than normal. You're not imagining it. Your energy is intense, and that intensity needs direction. If it doesn't find one, it will latch onto anything that gives even a moment of release. And lust is always waiting to offer that release. But it's never free. It takes more than it gives. It leaves you with less clarity, less drive, less connection to your higher self. Many of the people who are drawn to you don't even know why they're drawn to you. They're attracted to your light, your depth, your spirit. But not everyone is sent by God. Some are sent to siphon, some are sent to distract, some are sent just to see if you'll give up your power for attention, validation, or pleasure. And the enemy doesn't send them when you're weak. He sends them when you're strong, because that's when your light is at its brightest. That's when your spirit is climbing. That's when you're about to take the next step into something powerful, and he knows it. He can't stop what God has for you, but if he can delay you just long enough, confuse you just deep enough, or tempt you just far enough, he can buy more time. Time to keep you from becoming who you really are. But the moment you realize that your energy is sacred, that your fire is meant to build something eternal, not burn in temporary desire, that's the moment you begin to take your power back. You stop letting anyone have access to you just because they want you. You stop giving your time, your mind, your body to things that don't honor your calling. You start choosing alignment over impulse, and that's when everything begins to change. Have you ever felt like you're walking through life completely alone, even when you're surrounded by people? Like no one truly understands the weight you carry, the battles you fight in silence, the longing for connection that never seems to be met in the right way. That feeling isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's one of the first signs that you are set apart. Chosen ones are rarely allowed to walk with the crowd. You're not called to fit in, you're called to be refined, elevated, transformed. But what people don't talk about is the cost of that calling. One of the greatest costs is isolation. Not just loneliness, but deep, soul-aching isolation. It's not because something is wrong with you, it's because something is right. And that separation is often what creates the perfect environment for lust to enter. Not because you're lustful, but because you're vulnerable. Lust often shows up pretending to be a solution. It wears the face of love, of intimacy, of comfort, but it's a lie. It's a temporary fix that pulls you further from the one thing that can actually fill the void, your divine connection. You need to understand that this isolation isn't a punishment, it's preparation. God separates his chosen ones so that he can do something in them that he can't do in the crowd. But the enemy sees that isolation too, and he moves in quietly, suggesting that you deserve relief, that maybe if you just indulge this one time, the ache will go away. He knows you're not looking for pleasure. You're looking for peace, but lust doesn't bring peace. It brings delay, it brings confusion, it creates spiritual ties to people and energies that were never meant to be part of your story. That's why the enemy introduces it during your most isolated seasons. Because you're open, you're searching, you're yearning, and instead of waiting for the right thing, it's easier to reach for the quick thing. It's easier to believe that temporary warmth is better than cold solitude. But you and I both know what happens after. After the high wears off, after the distraction fades, you're left even more empty, even more disconnected, even more confused about who you are and what you're really supposed to be doing. That's the real price of lust. It doesn't just take your energy, it steals your clarity. And clarity is what you need most when you're alone with God. Chosen ones often misinterpret this phase of isolation. They think something's gone wrong, that they're being punished, that they're forgotten. But in reality, it's the exact opposite. You've been chosen for a higher frequency, and not everyone can exist at that level, so people start falling away. Friendships fade, relationships dissolve, the phone stops ringing, and at first, it's unsettling. But over time, if you pay attention, you'll realize it's not about what you're losing, it's about what you're gaining. In isolation, your discernment sharpens, your inner voice becomes louder, your connection to the divine becomes clearer. But only if you resist the temptation to fill the silence with the wrong things. Lust is always waiting to be that noise. It wants to interrupt your silence so you never discover the power in it. The longer you stay alone without indulging it, the more spiritual authority you build. You're no longer chasing something external to make you feel complete. You become whole within yourself. And when that happens, lust begins to lose its grip on you. Not because the temptations stop, but because you stop needing them. When you start to understand how this works, you can begin to look at your loneliness with new eyes. Instead of running from it, you sit with it. Instead of numbing it, you let it teach you. And that's when real growth begins. The silence that once haunted you becomes the space where God speaks. The lack of connection becomes the space where your true identity is rebuilt. and suddenly what once felt like abandonment becomes alignment. But the enemy doesn't want you to see that. That's why he sends counterfeit connections, people who look like they care, but only feed your wounds, situations that look like love, but only deepen your distractions. You have to be wise. You have to remember that not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, and not every craving is meant to be fed. This is how you break the cycle, not by pretending you don't feel lonely, not by acting like lust doesn't tempt you, but by acknowledging it for what it is and choosing not to let it rule you. Your spirit is stronger than your impulses, your purpose is greater than your pain, and your future is far more valuable than a moment of false connection. When you can see the trap for what it is, you stop walking into it. When you embrace your solitude, lust loses its power. And when that happens, you become untouchable. You have to understand something most people will never realize. Your spiritual sensitivity isn't random. It's not something to be ashamed of or overwhelmed by. It's a gift. A heavy one, yes, but a divine one. As a chosen one, you don't just feel things, you absorb them. You walk into a room and instantly sense the atmosphere. You talk to someone and immediately feel their spirit. You see beyond the surface, you hear what isn't said, and that gift, as powerful as it is, comes with a cost. Because you're not just picking up light, you're picking up darkness too. And lust is one of the first energies that tries to attach itself to you. Not because you're inviting it, but because your sensitivity makes you a magnet for spiritual traffic. You're not struggling with lust because you're dirty or unspiritual. You're struggling with it because your spirit is wide open and everything is trying to get in. Have you ever felt a wave of desire hit you out of nowhere? A pull towards something or someone you weren't even thinking about? That's not just hormones. That's spiritual influence. That's energy transfer. And if you don't know how to filter what enters your field, you'll start believing every thought, every feeling, every craving is your own. But they're not. Some of them are planted, some of them are passed on from the people you spend time with, the content you consume, the environments you enter. Your spiritual antenna is always on, and if you don't learn to control the signal, you'll end up broadcasting a frequency that isn't even yours. This is why so many chosen ones feel overwhelmed. Not because they're weak, but because they're wide open and unprotected. You can't afford to walk through life spiritually exposed. You have to develop filters. You have to start asking questions when the temptation comes. Is this really my desire? Or is it something I picked up from someone else? Did this feeling come from me, or was it planted in me by what I just watched, what I just listened to, who I just spent time with? Most people don't need to ask those questions because they're not spiritually awake. But you are. And with that awareness comes responsibility. The enemy knows how sensitive you are, and he'll use that against you if you let him. He'll send people into your life who carry the very thing you're trying to break free from. They'll look good. They'll say all the right things. They'll feel familiar, but they're not there to build you. They're there to bait you. You'll feel an intense connection, a strong desire, and you'll be tempted to call it love or fate. But if you pause long enough, you'll realize it's just energy pulling at your wounds. That's not love, that's manipulation. And if you don't recognize it, you'll call it a blessing when it's really a battle in disguise. This is why spiritual discipline is not optional for you. It's survival. You need daily practices that ground you, protect you, cleanse you. You need boundaries that filter who gets access to you. You need clarity about what you're allowing into your mind and spirit. Because everything carries energy, and energy is contagious. The stronger your spiritual discipline, the less space lust has to operate. It can only attach where there is openness. It can only linger where there is permission, and you don't have to give it any. When you learn to guard your spirit the same way you guard your home, everything changes. You no longer let just anyone walk through the doors of your mind. You stop consuming content that pollutes your energy. You stop entertaining relationships that drain you. You become intentional, focused, guarded, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. That's when lust loses its hold. Not because it disappears, but because you're no longer available. You've raised your standards, you've filtered your energy, you've remembered who you are, and when that happens, the enemy has to move on. Because he can't tempt someone who sees the trap before it's laid. He can't seduce someone who knows their worth. He can't confuse someone who's spiritually aligned, and that's exactly who you're becoming. The moment you begin to align with your divine purpose, everything around you seems to shift. You feel more connected, more awake, more determined to walk in your calling. But right at that point, when you're gaining clarity, when you're finally stepping into who you're meant to be, something strange happens. Temptation starts showing up. Distractions increase. You feel pulled in a direction you thought you already left behind. You might even wonder why the same lustful thoughts you prayed through are now showing up again with more intensity. This isn't by accident. It's not just life testing you. It's the enemy targeting you. See, once you become spiritually aware, the strategy changes. The enemy knows he can't tempt you the same way he tempts the world. He can't draw you in with obvious sin or surface-level pleasure. So he takes a more subtle approach. He turns lust into a distraction disguised as desire. He doesn't just want to make you fall, he wants to delay you, because for a chosen one, delay is often more dangerous than destruction. It keeps you from building, it keeps you from speaking, it keeps you from moving forward when the divine timing is now. Lust isn't about random cravings. It's not just about wanting someone. It's about spiritual interruption. It pulls you out of the flow. It makes you stop and second-guess yourself. It pulls your energy into fantasy instead of focus. It's not always about the act. It's about the aftermath. Think back to every time you were about to step into something big, an opportunity, a revelation, a new level of purpose, and suddenly temptation showed up. Someone from your past. A sudden craving for something you know doesn't align with who you're becoming. It looks harmless. It looks like something you can entertain and walk away from. But then you lose a day, a week, a month. You start feeling disconnected from your power. Your prayers feel weaker. Your focus gets foggy. You're showing up, but your spirit isn't. That's not random. That's calculated. The enemy knows he can't remove the calling, so he tries to distract the vessel. There's something else most people never talk about. Lust drains spiritual authority. It dulls your discernment. When you give in, even if no one knows, even if it's just in your mind, something in your spirit shifts. You feel it. You know when you've been pulled out of alignment. And if you don't recognize that it's part of a larger strategy, you'll start to internalize the shame. You'll think you failed. You'll think you're unworthy. But you haven't failed. You're being targeted because of what's on your life. The enemy doesn't fight people with no impact. He fights those carrying the kind of light that could shift generations. And if he can't stop you, he'll settle for slowing you down. That's why lust always seems to intensify right before elevation, because he knows you're about to unlock something, and he's scared, he's desperate, so he throws the same distraction your way and hopes you'll fall for it again. But this time, you won't, because now you see it clearly. Now you understand that the moment of temptation is really a sign. It means you're close, it means you're dangerous, and it means you have to double down on your discipline, not back down into distraction. This is where spiritual maturity begins. When you stop asking, why am I being tempted, and start asking, what am I being distracted from? That shift in thinking changes everything. You go from reacting to resisting. You go from guilt to awareness. You reclaim your authority and use it to break the cycle. Because the moment you recognize lust as a tactic and not your identity, it starts to lose its grip. You stop giving it the power to define you, and you start walking with intention. This is your turning point. The distractions will keep coming, but you're not walking blind anymore. You've got vision, and now you're moving with purpose. One of the most dangerous things about lust is how quietly it enters. It doesn't always storm into your life with obvious temptation. Sometimes it walks in dressed like desire, like validation, like something harmless and casual. But underneath it all is a subtle plan to dismantle your spirit. You won't notice it at first, because lust knows how to mimic what your heart longs for, especially if you haven't healed, especially if you're still carrying wounds that haven't been acknowledged. Lust doesn't just attack your behavior, it attacks your identity. It creeps into the cracks of your insecurity and speaks your language. It tells you what you want to hear. It whispers that you're missing something, that you need just one experience, just one connection, just one moment to feel better. But what it never tells you is what it costs. And that's where its power lies. In the illusion. Lust is always trying to hijack your spiritual gifts. It takes your ability to imagine and twists it into fantasy. It takes your power to manifest and ties it to empty cravings. It takes your divine fire and turns it into burning flesh. And once it has you, even for a moment, it starts to rewire how you think, how you view people, how you view yourself. You become addicted to the feeling, not realizing it's just smoke. It's just a distraction. It doesn't build you. It doesn't nourish you. It doesn't take you deeper. It just circles you back to the same place again and again. And every time you try to climb, it pulls you just low enough to keep you from soaring. But here's the truth. You don't need to be ashamed of the temptation. The temptation means your spirit is alive. It means you are being refined. It means your light is bright enough to draw attention. But now you must stop giving lust the power to narrate your story. You need to see it for what it is. Not a mistake, but a mirror. A mirror showing you what parts of yourself still need to be healed, grounded, protected. You cannot master what you don't first understand. So understand this. Lust is not just about what you do, it's about what you allow. And what you allow begins in the mind. That's where the battle is won or lost. You have the power to choose differently, not because you're perfect, but because you're awake. You have the power to recognize the voice of lust and silence it. You have the power to redirect that energy into purpose, into creativity, into worship, into building something eternal. You don't have to suppress your desires. You have to elevate them, turn them into something divine. That's what the enemy fears most. A chosen one who knows how to take the fire of temptation and turn it into a weapon for good. A chosen one who doesn't run from the urge, but transforms it into spiritual power. That's who you're becoming. That's who you already are. Once you stop believing the lie that lust has control over you, you're not here to be enslaved by desires. You're here to master them. You're not here to be distracted by lust. You're here to destroy it with discipline. And every time you say no, every time you choose alignment over appetite, you reclaim another piece of your destiny. The enemy will keep trying, but now you know the game. And more importantly, now you know your worth. Keep walking, keep building, keep rising. This battle has already shown you how powerful you are. Now show it how powerful you can become. One of the most dangerous aspects of lust is the part no one sees. The invisible cords, the spiritual entanglements, the soul ties that remain long after the moment has passed. It's not just about what you feel in your body. It's about what gets transferred in your spirit. Every time you engage in lust without divine alignment, you aren't just indulging in an act. You're forming a connection, a tie, a link between your spirit and the other person's energy, motives, emotions, history. And whether you realize it or not, those ties linger. They stay attached to you, showing up in your thoughts, your moods, your patterns. You find yourself thinking about someone you were never supposed to be with, craving someone who doesn't even align with your purpose, obsessing over something that was never meant to be yours in the first place. That's not always you. That's the result of soul entanglement. Lust binds, and when a chosen one gets bound, everything gets slower. Your thoughts feel heavier, your creativity dries up, your confidence weakens. You can't see the future as clearly, and you begin to doubt yourself in ways you never used to. That's what happens when spiritual connections are formed outside of divine purpose. You're carrying baggage that isn't yours. You're carrying emotional weight that came from someone who was never meant to access you. You're trying to run your race, but you're spiritually tethered to a person who's walking in the opposite direction. And the more you try to ignore it, the tighter the grip becomes. You can't fast it away unless you're also willing to break the tie. You can't pray it away unless you renounce what created the connection. It doesn't matter how good your intentions are. If you allow someone access to your soul through lust, you're inviting a bond, and that bond doesn't break on its own. Many chosen ones underestimate this. They believe because the relationship ended, the connection did too. But spiritual ties don't dissolve with distance. They dissolve with intention. You have to sever them. You have to renounce what was formed. You have to reclaim the parts of yourself that were handed over. Until you do, you'll keep feeling off. You'll keep circling the same spiritual wilderness, wondering why you can't fully step into your next season. The truth is, the enemy loves to use soul ties against chosen ones. He doesn't have to make you fall, he just needs you stuck. And soul ties create that spiritual stickiness. They keep you spiritually foggy, emotionally drained, and mentally distracted. It's hard to ascend when something invisible keeps pulling you down. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. Sometimes the soul tie isn't even with a person you're still in contact with. Sometimes it's with someone you've cut off physically, but never released spiritually. That means their energy still lingers in your life. Their patterns still echo in your decisions. Their influence still colors your desires. And you're wondering why your prayers feel blocked, why your spirit feels divided. It's because your soul is still sharing space with someone who no longer deserves access. And until you reclaim that space, you'll never feel whole. You'll keep trying to build something new on top of foundations that were never meant to support your future, but you can break it. You can get free. You can go to the root and cut the cord. It starts by recognizing what that tie really was. Not love, not connection, not alignment, but a moment of lust that turned into a long-term weight. A spiritual attachment dressed up as affection, and once you see it, once you name it, you have the power to renounce it. You can take your power back. You can reclaim your energy, and once you do, clarity returns. Your strength returns, your spirit starts to rise again, and the distractions lose their hold. That's why chosen ones can't afford casual connections. You're not like everyone else. What someone else can brush off in a day might take you months to recover from, because your spirit goes deep. You don't do surface level, even if you try. And that depth requires protection. It requires discernment. You have to start viewing your body as a gate, not a playground. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone is spiritually safe. And when you stop giving yourself away to energies that deplete you, you begin to see just how powerful you really are. There's another truth many don't want to hear. Your breakthrough depends on your discipline. The dreams, the visions, the purpose you've been praying about, it's not just about desire, it's about preparation. And that preparation is built through discipline. Discipline is the invisible wall that keeps your spiritual energy from leaking. Without it, everything that tries to enter your life, lust, distraction, temptation, has a door to walk through. But when you build discipline, that door stays shut. Discipline isn't about denying your humanity. It's about protecting your divinity. It's about understanding that your energy is sacred and must be guarded like treasure. Think of how many times lust has entered your life not because you were weak, but because you were unguarded. You didn't have the boundaries in place. You let a thought linger too long. You watched something you knew would stir something in you. You stayed in a conversation that started out harmless but turned into temptation. That's not a coincidence. That's what happens when discipline is low, and the enemy knows that. He doesn't need to break your spirit. He just needs to wear down your discipline. If he can get you to loosen your guard just a little, he knows it's only a matter of time before something slips in. But here's the beauty of discipline. It gets stronger every time you use it. Every no you say, every urge you resist, every temptation you reject, it sharpens you. It solidifies your identity. It shows your spirit that it's in control, not your flesh. Discipline is the quiet, consistent proof that you are mastering the energy inside you. And when that happens, you start to walk in power. You stop reacting and start commanding. You stop being pulled and start directing. You don't live at the mercy of your emotions or your cravings. You live in alignment with your mission. And make no mistake, your mission requires discipline. The higher you go, the more distractions show up. The greater your influence, the greater the pressure. And without discipline, that pressure will crush you. But with it, it forges you. It shapes you into someone the enemy fears. Someone who doesn't just know their purpose, but protects it. Someone who doesn't just pray, but practices what they preach. Someone who doesn't just dream, but disciplines themselves to become what the dream requires. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. It's about choosing long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. It's about knowing that everything you desire is on the other side of consistency. Lust wants you impulsive. Discipline makes you intentional. Lust wants you emotional. Discipline makes you strategic. Lust is chaos. Discipline is clarity. And the moment you decide to build that clarity, you begin to see through the lies. You begin to see the real cost of compromise, and you stop giving your power to things that only want to use it. Every day is a test. Every moment is a choice. Will you serve the impulse, or will you serve the mission? Will you give in to the craving, or will you strengthen your character? Will you let lust lead you, or will you lead yourself? The choice isn't always easy, but it is always yours. And the more you choose discipline, the more powerful you become, not just spiritually, but mentally, emotionally, energetically. You become someone the enemy can't manipulate, someone who can't be bought with empty pleasure, someone who walks in true freedom, not because they never feel temptation, but because they've trained themselves to rise above it. That's where your power is, in the practice, in the unseen moments when you choose alignment over appetite. That's where transformation happens, not in the spotlight, but in the silence. Not when others are watching, but when it's just you, your thoughts, and your decision. That's where warriors are built. That's where destiny is forged. And that's the path you're on. Every act of discipline is a seed, a declaration, a reminder that you are not a prisoner of lust. You are a master of your mind, a guardian of your soul, a vessel of divine fire, and nothing has the right to pull you off your path again. There's a truth many people never get to experience because they've never been taught what to do with their desire. They've only been told to fear it, suppress it, or feel ashamed by it. But the truth is, your desire isn't a curse. It's not something to run from. It's power, raw, potent, divine power. And when you begin to understand this, something shifts. You stop trying to destroy the part of yourself that feels lust, and you start learning how to redirect it. Because that urge you feel, that fire inside of you, it's energy. And energy is neutral until you assign it a direction. Lust is what happens when divine energy goes misdirected. It's what happens when the fire within you burns without focus. But the same fire that can burn down your purpose is the fire that can build your destiny if you learn how to master it. This is where most chosen ones get trapped. Not because they're weak, but because they've never been shown the way out. They feel the fire. They feel the intensity. They feel the craving for something more. But no one told them that this craving could be transformed into creativity, into vision, into spiritual momentum. The enemy wants you to believe that your sexual energy only has one outlet. He wants to keep you stuck in cycles of lust, because he knows if you ever learn how to transmute that energy, you'll become unstoppable. He's terrified of what you'd create, who you'd become, what level you'd unlock if you stopped pouring that energy into distraction and started pouring it into divine direction. Every great spiritual teacher, every prophet, every chosen one in history faced this test, the test of fire. The question isn't whether you feel it. The question is what you do with it. That's the battleground. When the urge comes, when the craving shows up, when lust knocks at the door, you have a choice. You can let it burn wild and consume your clarity, or you can harness it and turn it into spiritual fuel. This is the process of transmutation. You take what the flesh wants and use it to empower what the spirit needs. That's how you rise. That's how you evolve. That's how you unlock gifts inside you that have been dormant, waiting for direction. You have to understand that energy never dies. It just changes form. So every time you feel tempted, every time your body stirs, every time your mind wanders toward lustful thoughts, you're being handed a moment of choice. You can waste it or you can work it. You can let it lead you into another loop, or you can use it to power your purpose. You can exercise, you can write, you can pray, you can build, you can worship, you can speak, you can fast, you can move that energy into something sacred. And when you do, you start to realize that the thing you once thought was your weakness is actually your hidden strength. But none of this happens by accident. It requires awareness. You have to be able to pause in the middle of that rising desire and ask yourself, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to feed it the same way I always have, or am I going to do something different? You won't always feel like choosing the higher path, but the more you do, the easier it gets. The fire doesn't go away, but you become the one who controls it. You become the one who decides whether it burns your purpose or builds it. That's what it means to walk in authority, to no longer be at the mercy of your urges, but to use them as a tool for divine creation. The enemy doesn't want you to know this. He wants you to think you'll always be a slave to your cravings, but he's lying. You are not a prisoner. You are a vessel of divine fire. You are meant to rise, not fall. And every time you redirect your energy, you rise a little higher. Every time you choose purpose over pleasure, you build something eternal. That's how you become who you were created to be. Not by extinguishing your fire, but by learning to control it, by becoming the master of your own power. That is your breakthrough, that is your freedom, and that is your calling. But even as you learn to transmute your energy, even as you gain strength, there's one more truth you need to understand. The choice is always yours. You can be equipped, you can be empowered, you can be filled with revelation. But if you don't choose to act on it, none of it matters. You are not waiting on God to give you permission. God is waiting on you to decide, to step into authority, to walk like someone who knows they are chosen. This is the final shift. Not just resisting temptation, but choosing who you want to become every single day. And the truth is, the more powerful you become, the more strategic the attacks will be. Lust doesn't leave quietly. It will try to whisper again. It will try to sneak back in through memory, through loneliness, through opportunity. It will disguise itself as love, as need, as validation. But now you see through it. Now you understand it. And now you have the strength to walk right past it because you know what it really costs. You know what it steals, and you know what you gain when you choose differently. There is a version of you on the other side of this battle that you haven't even met yet. A version with unshakable clarity, a version flowing in purpose, a version who commands spiritual power with quiet confidence. That version of you isn't waiting for a sign. That version of you is waiting for your decision. You are not here to survive lust, you are here to master it. You are not here to fight it forever, you are here to outgrow it. Because lust can only pull you if you stay small. But once you rise in spirit, once you commit to your calling with every fiber of your being, lust starts to look less like a threat and more like an old trick. You stop fearing it, you start seeing it for what it is. And when that happens, you become a threat to everything the enemy tried to use against you. The same fire that used to burn you becomes the fire you now use to light your path. And here's the final truth. Your victory is not far off. It's not some distant goal reserved for the perfect. It's a moment-by-moment decision to choose alignment over appetite, intention over impulse, purpose over pleasure. That decision is yours every time you feel the pull. And the more you choose it, the more heaven backs you. The more God releases into your life, the more you step into the life you were born for. Lust might still try to knock, but you're no longer opening the door. You've outgrown the need for counterfeit comfort. You've chosen something eternal. And that choice, that constant, courageous choice, is what makes you unstoppable. You are chosen, you are rising, and nothing can stop you now.